No. Where does that take us to Gaza, Vanessa?
Yeah, to the really deplorable situation in Gaza. We spoke previously about the US establishing this ridiculous humanitarian pier, which is going to be anything but humanitarian. 1,000 US troops will deploy for temporary port operations to move aid into Gaza. It's now been revealed in the last few days that the cost of this project for the United States is $320 million. And this has been reported by Reuters and various others. And of course, we have to ask the question, why not just open the Rafah border from Egypt and allow in the daily 500 trucks that were coming in prior to October the 7th? This is a short excerpt from a Sky News program on the building of the port itself. We can just roll the video.
What would they actually build there? We've got some video of the sort of facility that the US have. This isn't in Gaza. This is to illustrate the sort of capability they have, basically leading onto the shore, but from the deep water. And they hope that this will be able to be completed in a matter of 2 weeks.
So the claim that this will only take 2 weeks to build, of course, there's no coincidence that this is about 20 nautical miles from the Gaza gas exploration area off the coast of Gaza that has not yet been used for the benefit of Gazans since it was discovered. There's also reports that UK troops could be sent to Gaza to help deliver aid. So let's have a look at what they're claiming in The Independent. The government is considering whether to send troops to Gaza to help deliver aid via a new sea route. The US confirmed on Friday that work on a temporary pier. And I need to point out here that the rubble that is being bulldozed to fabricate this temporary pier without doubt contains the remains of Palestinian bodies that have not yet been retrieved from under the rubble. And while the US is spending $320 million on this project, it never considered spending $320 million sending bulldozers to help the civil defense in Gaza to retrieve bodies, both dead and alive. Britain is already providing logistical support for construction of the pier, including a Royal Navy ship that will house hundreds of US soldiers and sailors working on the project. In addition, UK military planners have been embedded at the US Central Command in Florida and Cyprus, where aid will be screened before shipment to Gaza. It's worth also noting that Israel will then have a further verification mechanism when the ships arrive at Gaza, which could potentially, of course, delay even further the so-called humanitarian aid. Now, at the same time, what's happening, so bear in mind they're saying this will take about 2 weeks to establish this humanitarian port. Israel is planning a ring of checkpoints to prevent men from fleeing Rafah. This has actually been confirmed by my sources inside Rafah, that tanks and snipers are establishing a ring around Rafah. The claim is that, according to Middle East Eye in the report, so on the next slide, that they will they will prevent men of military age. So in other words, everybody will be designated as Hamas, as combatants. And they will allegedly allow women and children to leave. Of course, we have absolutely no guarantees or assurances that they will be able to leave safely, as we've already seen women and children being sniped or shot or shelled by tanks as they do try to leave to what I've described as safe areas. And of course, the other point to make is currently Israel is bombing heavily in central Gaza. So it's actually creating a buffer zone between the north and the south. There's around 700,000 people in the north currently suffering predominantly from famine and disease, and then another 1.5 million in central Gaza, but being pushed to the north or to the south. Sorry, there's about 1 million in the south and then the remainder in the middle, which are being pushed north or south. And with the potential, of course, with this Rafah operation, which is being spoken about by various members of Netanyahu's administration, including by Netanyahu himself. The timing is potential, of course, that refugees from Rafah will be deported via the so-called humanitarian port. But also my fear is, of course, that the US and the UK are now intending to establish a military footprint in Gaza itself, perhaps not immediately, but in the future after the devastation, which will be Rafah if the operation goes ahead. And we're looking at a horrendous massacre or potential of a massacre if that does go ahead.
And it's looking much more likely that it is going to go ahead, Vanessa, because the news is that they are starting to train reservists to take part in that. So the training is happening, which it wasn't before. So it's looking much firmer that it's going to go ahead.